Hello, everybody. Hello, hello, if you're there. Sorry about the delay there. Sometimes it's a bit hard to know if we've gone live or not yet. I think we are now live on YouTube, so good to see you. Good to have you back. We know we've had some technical difficulties recently. This one seems to have gone okay. I'm just going to let some people in from the waiting room. Might take me a few minutes to do that. So apologies as always if there's any bad language, but I'm sure you can expect adult content and all that kind of things from for now. If you've joined us in the past, you'll know what it's all about. I can see Craig, I can see Joe's joining, Ben's on his way as well. I'm sure many more people will be joining us as we go along. Good to see you, Joe, indeed. I'd say raising it's like a virtual digital pint because my green screen isn't up, so I'm relying on technology to know what the background is here. But cheers to you all, and Ben in bed, cheers. Of course. How are you guys doing? All right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Good. Well, I'll start off as always while we're waiting for more people to come along. So I'm going to take if you can give me your name and your Twitter handle. I'll start off with my top left, which is Craig.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I'm Craig Willard at Craig_Willard, and
That's all right. That's right. I just asked for your name and your Twitter handle, so that's fine. And you've got a point there.
And well, it's not a full point, but it'll do for now.
Yeah, exactly. I've already started on mine. Yeah, there's a bit of build up to this to get everything set up, and while I was setting up, I got through half a pint. So apologies if my speech is less than you deserve. I'll just add another entrant here. Joe, can you take your name and your Twitter handle, please? Sorry, Joe, not sure if you heard me there. Can I take your name and your Twitter handle, please?
Yeah, Joe Tanner at Stuff About Cars on Twitter and Instagram.
Excellent. What's it say on your T-shirt there?
It says, warning, may start talking about cars at any time.
Okay, that's going to be tricky in a ZoomZoomers call.
Well, I quite like wearing it for work calls as well, when all we do is talk about cars.
I love that. Ben, can you take your name and your Twitter handle, please?
Excuse me, sorry. Ben Hodges, and Twitter handle is Ben SV Hodges. Unimaginative, but it's true.
Always the same. And Alan, you're not in the US of A, which is unexpected. Can I take your name and your Twitter handle?
Literally just back. Well,
good.
Literally as in yesterday morning. Yes, my name's Alan Bradley. I am one of the hosts of the Motoring Podcast, and my Twitter handle is at AJP Bradley. That's BRADLEY for those of you who like me to spell it out.
Good to see you guys. I know it's been a couple of months since we've all managed to get together, and there were some technical issues last month. We tried what we could to recover it. So firstly, apologies to people that tuned in to kind of catch it live or wanted to watch it the next day or something like that. I know a lot of you do that, and it for some reason just didn't record. But hey, that's technology for you, and we're back here now.
It's a shame because it was a cracker as well. It was really interesting discussion, even though I do say it myself. So
I wasn't about for it, so I missed it. I was thinking, I'll catch it afterwards, and I couldn't, and I'm really frustrated. So, what were we talking about? What was going on? Because I think LA took the reins for that one.
Yeah, well, yes, the boss was in charge, and we were mostly talking about where we lived, really, and how we ended up having anything to do with car stuff.
Gotcha.
Or whatever flavor of car related, motorsport or road cars or whatever it was, and how we ended up, in that.
And also, kind of women in motorsport and the car industry as well.
That was
as well, which is quite good.
Yeah, that was really interesting.
So hopefully we'll have LA here then, and a few of the other ladies that are normally on ZoomZoomers, because obviously over the years we have people like we've got Cami, Charlie Martin, Naomi, we have Jess, all these people, but it's just us guys today. It seems a bit like a bit different. So women in cars and motorsport, we're seeing it hopefully more and more. But what was the general consensus from the conversation last time?
I can't remember. That was a month ago. I was dyslexic then.
I can't remember what day of the week it is, let alone that.
Well, yeah, you've been halfway around. Well, so what were you doing over in the States then? Was it work or pleasure, or what was going on?
It was work.
Good.
So what I think regular motoring podcast listeners have probably picked up on by now is that a few months ago I was asked if I would go and join the team, my employer's team in the US, and I wrung my hands for a little while, and then I said, "Yeah, go on then." So there's been a work visa application in for a little while now.
Yeah.
Just waiting for that to come through, but it was their sort of big kickoff in the US. So some point in the next couple of months, 3 months maybe, I don't know when. Nobody knows when. Only the US State Department can possibly know when, and even then they probably don't have a clue either. Then I will be over in the US for 18 months to 2 years.
Wow, but still able to join Zoom calls, I hope.
I hope so. I've got pretty good control of my calendar, and it's 8 o'clock at night, which is
It's 3 o'clock Eastern time.
3 o'clock Eastern time. Apologies, this camera's going to keep on doing that. I will actually buy a new camera at some point, which doesn't fall asleep every 10
We
minutes.
did have that last time, didn't we?
Yes, we did. Sorry. It gives a beautiful picture, but it keeps timing out and snoozing. Yeah. So hopefully, yes, still be able to do ZoomZoomers, still be able to do motoring podcast. Andrew and I will work out how we're going to change the recording time and stuff.
So if you base yourself over there, then whereabouts, what state are you going to be in?
Boston area. That was one of the things. I spent a whole day looking at condo buildings and cars. I gave up, by the way. I gave up about 2 o'clock and then went off and looked at cars at CarMax instead.
Right.
As you do. So yeah, up Boston area. So that's
Okay.
the corner of Massachusetts. First time I've ever been. I'd agreed to go. First time I've ever been. It's lovely.
Good to hear it. Yeah, luckily the job that I'm in, we have the headquarters is over in the States, so this time difference is something I'm very used to, because there's kind of like 2 starts to my day. Start with the UK team and then start with the US team 5 hours later.
I've known that feeling since October.
Yeah. So the rest of us then, what have we been up to? I mean, Joe, how's it going on your side of things? Are we getting any closer to new cars actually being sold yet?
I think we're probably getting further away, not closer.
Okay.
So things were starting to look up, and there was a lot of thought that maybe by the end of this year the chip shortage would be a bit less, and so on. And then Mr. Vladimir decided to invade Ukraine, which has put a lot of things backwards. Specifics from that are wiring harnesses. A lot of the big German manufacturers are reliant on wiring harnesses made in Ukraine. And there's a lot of plants in Germany, like Wolfsburg, shut for 2 weeks, and that's huge. BMW, Mercedes, quite a few of those. Significant stoppages just this month from that alone. So that's on top of what was, the problems anyway. The other thing that's interesting out of Ukraine is the neon gas that the lasers use that make microchips.
Right.
Oh, no.
Slightly convoluted, but yes. So we're back to of microchips, albeit I think there is good stocks of the gas, so it could be a couple of months, but even still, that's another one. So it's one of these commodities. The price has gone up 600%, etc.
Wow.
So yeah, more disruption. It's not really getting any better just yet. So it's absolutely chaotic still.
And how's the used car market looking then? Just reacting to that and just
still strong. I think it's leveled out now.
Right.
But yeah, there was an interesting article the other day of the top 10 cars that are worth more used than new.
Right.
Mostly Porsches, I think. But Land Rover Defender was on the list. You're looking at more than 10K above the new price if you want to buy a used one.
Wow.
Because their order bank is 2 years plus. So yeah. It's still pretty crazy out there.
Don't get me started on the cost of ones in the US.
Yeah.
Why?
Anything vaguely interesting in the US, this is amplified. It's phenomenal.
Because cars hold their value a bit more out there anyway, don't they? And then
They do.
now in the current situation.
They do. It's got to the stage where I'm considering taking the Mercedes.
Oh,
The only
really?
car I've got which qualifies
Oh, wow.
to be
Okay.
allowed. But $3,000 spent taking that across compared to the phenomenal prices for used cars there.
Yeah,
Wow.
and of course, in 18 months or 2 years' time, when you want to come back, that's probably about the time that they'll be back to normal. So you could lose a packet.
Oh wow, what a shame to hear the issues that that are going on around the world are affecting cars so much. But I suppose if you've got a used car and you can hold on to it and you know that it's not dropping in value, that's a good thing for a lot of people as well. If you're not desperate to get a new car, I suppose you're doing okay. But then obviously we see a knock-on effect with things like fuel prices as well. and fuel prices have been creeping up and up and up over and over. And I saw someone, I was watching a YouTube video where someone in the States had said, "Oh my God, gas is now $6 a gallon," and everyone in Europe went, "Oh, well, that's nothing to be scared about. We're way above that." And I guess that's probably going to go in one direction as well. Have any of you guys been tracking fuel prices and seen where it's likely to be going or anything like that? Because I guess it's
I think 175 as an average is around the corner.
really, yeah, 175. I think motorways are hitting that at the moment, from what I can make out.
Yeah.
So, wow. Well,
And the thing is, people say about electric cars, and yes, they are cheaper to run, but the price of electricity has gone up significantly as well. So it is all relative to some extent.
yeah, and I'm not sure people have really realised the price of electricity too much because of the way generally companies that supply electricity bill you, and they have a recurring direct debit, and they keep adjusting it, so that we haven't seen a sudden bang up yet. Because I think the next statement might say, "Oh, you're suddenly £100 in debit," or something like that, and then it'll creep up on people. I've seen a few people put on Twitter, for example, what their electricity bill is, complaining at the electricity company, and they're just probably going, "Well, this is what it costs."
Yeah.
So we'll see. I think on balance, I'm sure electric vehicles are still going to be cheaper than fossil fuel.
Oh yeah, still
vehicles, but
cheaper. It's just the economics on both sides has changed. I guess that's the key thing.
get a bicycle, guys. Come on, we can do.
I know. Well, that's going with me as well. People laughed at me last week for taking public transport from the airport to my hotel.
Really?
Yeah, they couldn't believe I'd done it. They said, "Oh, you've just arrived." Yeah, it's pretty decent.
Yeah.
All I had to do was get a bus, change to a train, and then I knew it was right outside my hotel, so it was relatively easy. But people were like, "Whoa, I don't think I've ever got public transport. That's really brave."
Oh wow. Okay.
It's like, hello, I'm European.
Alan the Disruptor.
Well, that's it. Yeah.
The
I was all
trendsetter.
planned. I had to go somewhere else. It was all planned out. I was quite happy. I thought it's great. There's a station just along the road. It's on the same line as my hotel. It's brilliant. Turns out just because there are stations in the US doesn't actually mean anything stops at them.
Really?
Yeah,
okay. So you have to
yeah.
make it quite clear you want to actually stop there.
Well, it was the whole thing of, right, okay, so I need to be down there by 8:30 in the morning. That's fine. It should only be about an hour. It should only be 40 minutes away. Not a problem at all. Why is it saying I have to leave the night before?
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Because they didn't stop.
Yeah, because there's just not, it's the end of the line, and there are just no services.
Wow.
Like there's like services out in the morning,
Yeah.
and services and a service in the evening, and that's about it.
Oh dear. Well, it's not set up the same way as Europe is, but
Yeah,
it'll catch up.
A lot of learning went on over the last week.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, it seems sometimes America seems like it's a bit in the future, but often you find out that actually they're quite far behind in a lot of ways. But yeah, well, good luck with the venture anyway. Just to kind of go back a little bit about what we were saying about Mr. Putin, etc. We've seen a bit of a knock-on effect, Craig, in motorsport, and some fairly bold moves by like the UK Motorsport. Is it MS? No, it's not. Is it just
Motorsport UK?
Motorsport UK.
Yeah, and so forth, and the similar bodies in Germany, in Sweden, Finland, and Estonia. So there are 5 straight off the bat, and that sort of really comes in response to the FIA really sort of putting a sort of a light kick to it all. I think essentially is the way to sort of describe it. So athletes from Russia and Belarus can compete, but they'd have to do so under a neutral FIA flag. No emblems, no national anthems, no promoting the conflict on social media, nothing like that. So we've already seen a knock-on effect in the Formula One world, of course, with Nikita Mazepin and Ural Kali both leaving Haas. Ural Kali, of course, is owned by one of the Russian oligarchs, Dmitry Mazepin. So that always felt sort of inevitable, because it's not even just the sanctions that come with these things and all that sort of stuff. It's really sort of being linked to to that regime at the moment is just not a good look to have at all. The Russian Grand Prix, of course, totally cancelled. Formula One does not want anything to do with Russia for the foreseeable. The World Touring Car Cup race in Russia, that's been cancelled. Not that anyone really sort of cares about that one. And the Continental Drift Championship event as well in Russia, that's cancelled. Not that anyone really sort of cares about that one either. But we're seeing this affect a few other championships as well. One of the teams in World Endurance Championship at Le Mans and in the European Le Mans Series, they've withdrawn because their owner refused to abide to the regulations that the FIA had set out. So that affects not only the Russian drivers that are driving for that team, but drivers from outside of Russia as well, who are supposed to be racing in that team. And that's happening, not too far away from the beginning of that season. So that's sort of thrown the ACO into a bit of chaos, because the Le Mans entry list was supposed to be out this week or last week, and it has not been out for that exact reason. Things like that. And I mean, it's still going to be a very fluid situation. Ultimately. So there's going to be a lot of situations where we don't know with particular drivers whether they're still going to be able to race, whether they're not going to be able to race. It will be partly depending on their deal as well, because a lot of Russian drivers are backed either by SMP, which of course has been hit by the sanctions, or G Drive, with the G standing for Gazprom, which of course has been hit by the sanctions. So one would assume that all of that state funding gone in an instant. So there's that. And I think just sort of generally from a wider standpoint, it's taken decades for Russia to really sort of introduce itself on the world motorsport stage. Not only has that been tainted now, but it's going to take decades for that to rebuild, if it ever will be rebuilt.
Well, to go back, apologies if I'm asking you questions you don't know the answer to, and sorry to put you on the spot, but just to kind of go back to the Formula One side of things, there's a couple of questions that I thought I'd pose to you. Is do you know whether back in 2021, whether Nikita raced as a Russian, or did he have to have a neutral kind of nationality there last year?
Yeah, because the ban on Russian athletes in the Olympics transferred into all world championships.
Right.
Because Mazepin raced in a world championship, because of the Formula One World Championship, he had to race under the Russian Automobile Federation, or whatever it's called, rather than as a Russian. It didn't affect drivers in like the junior championships, because they're not world championships. It only affected things like WRC or the World Endurance Championship, things like that. So yeah, he never actually raced in Formula One as a Russian, strictly speaking. So there is that.
I heard that in the early days there was issues with showing the Russian flag, and so that the Haas team said that they couldn't show the Russian flag, but got around that by just having a red, white, and blue car, or red, white, and blue decals on the car. And a lot of us here will know that delivery designer who probably had a very, very tight brief about how to go about designing that car. But is this removal of those decals a bit of an admission that was the Russian flag? Do you think?
I think so.
Yeah,
I think it was. Yeah.
Because for people who don't know, they've decided to remove all those colours in their test delivery, and who knows what will happen when we get to the first race. But I think they've kind of shown that that's what that was.
Is the colours of Haas as a company, is that not red, white, and blue as well?
No, they're red, like a light grey and a dark grey. My understanding is that from pre-season testing 2, at least, it's going to be its primary sponsor, if you will, is going to go back to being, Haas Automation Company. So it will probably be a botched up red, grey, and grey livery of some description, with Pietro Fittipaldi in the second car for the test. Whether he'll do any races or not, I'm not overly convinced. I'm pretty sure I know who the other driver is. I can't reveal who the other driver is going to be, but my sources indicate that it's well, there's going to be an announcement like in the next few days. I'm pretty sure, and I know that much. So, but for testing at least, Fittipaldi is going to get a run out. So like his, the work that he's put in with Haas over the past few years will get a little bit of vindication with a little bit of driving in Bahrain.
Craig, the neutral flag thing, is that quite new, or is that has anybody that us sort of motorsport muggles have heard of ever raced under the neutral flag, or is that no? Okay, there we go. That's good. That's just made me feel so much better.
I'm pretty sure that is like unprecedented in itself. Really, drivers have always raced under their national flags. I know really there was a bit of sort of sketchiness back when Eddie Irvine was racing, because of course he's from the Republic of Ireland, or he always says that he's Irish, but he was always registered as a British driver. So it got a little bit sort of angsty when he appeared on the podium, particularly when he won races and they blared out "God Save the Queen." So he proposed that he raced under a flag that was a shamrock to get around that, and the FIA turned around and said no. So because it's the FIA. But yeah, that's completely unprecedented, really, in that regard. So I don't know what an FIA national anthem would be like, if at all. So I don't know.
Rendition of ABBA's "Money, Money, Money."
Yeah, quite possibly. But yeah, so that's really sort of like the general lowdown on that front as to what's happened in the immediate term from that, and sort of the wider implications of everything. Of course, it's going to take a long time for that to really sort of come to light, just in the same way it has done with the pandemic.
And for you then, if there's no Russian Grand Prix, they're not just going to leave that slot open and not do a race. They're probably going to shove something else in there. Are there any kind of contenders for that seem like they're likely to fill the gap?
I know Sepang was sort of sending out some pretty cryptic tweets over the past week, but I think that's quite unlikely,
right?
Unfortunately, but I think Turkey's a very good possibility, although apparently FOM haven't been too happy the past couple of times they've gone there, particularly with the botched resurfacing they did for 2020. And Portugal's a really good substitute as well. Or they could just double up somewhere.
Of course, which I've done in the past. Interesting to see. It's not long now. It's 18th, I think, isn't it? The first actual Grand Prix.
It sprung up way too quickly.
Yeah, Drive to Survive this weekend, and then it is this weekend, isn't it? Yeah, Drive to Survive this weekend, which means another week until racing actually starts proper. That'll be interesting to see then, and I'm sure we'll kind of keep everyone up to date on what's going on there. Do you know much about the junior Formula and how they're going? Are we starting with Formula 2 or Formula 3 or both in Bahrain? Or
both? Yeah, they're both active in Bahrain. The pre-season testing, you can never read too much into pre-season testing, because they did their testing there last week. Both of their final sessions of the event got sandstormed, so that was not really ideal. But yeah, a few interesting takeaways, but I wouldn't expect too much of from the team side. I wouldn't expect too much of a difference in the pecking order really come this year. But you never know with these things.
Exactly, it's a complete shake-up. Someone completely unexpectedly could do well, and people could it might be the year that Haas actually get back on form. They have had history of doing quite well, obviously, when they had decent sponsors. I mean, money coming in. I wouldn't say that their sponsors have been decent over the years. They've been a bit dodgy, some of them, but we've seen some success from Haas, and hopefully we'll see more of that from Mick and whoever gets to drive the other one. But going back to road cars, and Ben, I'll come to you. Are we starting to see the kind of the way out of the pandemic? Are we seeing shows starting again, and like obviously Geneva being called off was a big thing over the pandemic and that kind of stuff. Are we going to start to see stuff like that happening again, or is it still up in the air? What's going on?
So at the moment, we are seeing a lot more news, a lot more reveals, because it all would have been done at Geneva or around about that time, as in they would have revealed it a couple of weeks before, maybe, then shown it at Geneva, made a big hoo-ha about it. But I think the biggest problem is, and going back to what Joe said earlier, is the chip shortage.
Yeah.
In terms of people, ordering a car and going, oh, that'll be 6 months. Oh, no, wait, it'll be a year. Oh, no, actually, you can wait 18 months. And that's why stuff that even cars that are sitting like static displays in dealerships, they're going.
Yeah.
And used cars as well. When I sold my car in like 2 days via like motorway because I just wanted a shot of it, but it was a good used car and it's gone straight onto Auto Trade and it's gone within a week.
Well,
So
I don't know if you guys saw, but even Renault sold their Heritage fleet recently. They weren't really using it very much, but they've got rid of all their old cars. It's like Renault is so desperate to sell cars, they've actually got rid of all their old Clios and Megane RS and the old Renault 4 and everything like that. So it seems like they're all struggling, really, these car manufacturers, aren't they?
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see that many shows apart from the possibly stuff like New York and in Germany and that. I think they'll all go ahead as normal. But I think also manufacturers are realizing that these things cost an absolute fortune. And it's like, well, if we just release it on the internet, it costs us, I don't know, a tenth of the price. And it has the same effect because everyone writes about it and it's everywhere for a day. And then it all calms down. Then the pricing comes out, it kind of goes back up in search. And then the reviews come out and then everyone can buy one. Well, you can't buy one, but
Yeah. So I've always got a counter argument to that one. And that's great from the manufacturer PR point of view, from the motoring journalist point of view, but those people don't tend to be there on the public days, because I used to always go to Geneva on the public day. Obviously, first year it was called off was the first year I had a press pass for Geneva. But so I used to always go on the first Saturday. That is kind of close to my birthday, so it was always good to go. But the thing was the number of people there looking, trying, getting this great opportunity to try and sit in as many cars as possible. Now, they always changed the displays around. It was never as nice as it was when the journos were there. All the classic fleets had been wheeled back out, were back on trucks and back in their aircon storage, and they'd filled it up with, Ford had always filled it up with more Fiestas, and these kind of things. But the number of people who were there and were cross shopping in a place where they could look was huge, massive numbers, and I think that's missing. The whole sort of the rest of that will be missing from the shows, but that doesn't show in the journal and the PR stats. I think there's a lot we missed out on. Is really where that was a long waffle about.
I mean, I was supposed to go last year as well for the first time with a press pass. I think in previous years I always had to stay in the office for some reason, or I was directing a film crew from a London office, which doesn't work, by the way. And I get what you mean, because going to a motor show is great. Like, you get to actually see these cars up close, and it's kind of an arena outside of Cars and Coffee, but you get to see them before they're even on the road, if you know what I mean. And that's kind of the exclusive bit, But Geneva, I don't know if it's going to come back. I'm not sure what the money is, or where the money is.
I think the organizers got way too greedy.
Right.
And just with the whole thing, I don't just mean there. And then also, Geneva, it's not exactly a cheap place to go. Having worked in Switzerland, I would say the best way to see Switzerland is when someone else is paying for it. But it's just so expensive to go. So expensive.
So do you think this kind of the era of the internet has meant that because you can launch to millions and millions of people all at the same time by using the internet, and also send across assets for the press, the images, everything that they need as well, it kind of means that the appeal of traveling to Geneva and trying to peek at a car behind a crowd of people and then hopefully get to talk to someone just isn't appealing for people anymore, when actually they can just, have everything land in their inbox. And then, although they don't get to drive the car necessarily, we know that can be arranged at some point. But is the internet responsible for these shows struggling, or is it just that maybe the shows were complacent and didn't react and give people a better experience that would have meant that the internet wasn't able to serve the purpose?
I mean, I think that manufacturers didn't really have much of a choice. It was like, go to Geneva or you're nowhere.
Right.
And then after a couple of years without it, it's like, I think from a consumption point of view, everyone just goes onto YouTube, looks at a walk around video, whatever the official video is, or if there's a load of outlets that have had pre-embargo access to a car to make a film with it in a warehouse somewhere. But the other issue is when the embargo breaks, you've got like 25 videos on YouTube, and there's articles everywhere that have been updated with bits and pieces, and then you're just overwhelmed. You're like, well, this is why those videos tend to suffer. Some do really well, some don't do so well.
So yeah, I mean, my YouTube subscriptions are kind of what you would expect my YouTube subscriptions to be. Okay, let's be honest here.
Loads of young women.
Yeah, not just
in Toyotas.
More than just Toyota. But there's but recently there've been a few launches and stuff where you knew it was embargo had ended time, because all of a sudden there were 8 near identical videos in the thing, and you just looked at them and went, well, they're all going to be from people driving the same car in the same place where they've had 2 hours with it. Do you know what? I'm just not going to bother watching that. I'm going to wait until somebody can actually has a car properly, and I'll quite often have just skipped past them all and just ignore those until I can find something meaningful and different about the vehicle.
Yeah, I mean, I work in motoring content as well, and it's a case of, I mean, we recently saw the launch of this morning or at midnight last night Central European time, of the Ferrari 296, and the content team said to me, what should we put out there? I said, the only thing I could do is if you could find an image that no one else has used, otherwise there's just no point in doing it. And we got very little response out of that, which is such a shame for an incredible car. But because it's just flooded, and the big guys will always get the majority of the traffic, and everyone else is left floundering.
Here's something I didn't know, that Ferrari had released a new car today.
Yeah, midnight. What a time to put it out there as an embargo. So yeah, it was at 11 p.m. our time last night. So we put content out there at 11, and the social media post went out 1 minute past. And although we shared them again this morning, it was just like, well, just by that point, it's just all flooded.
Yeah, 11 p.m. on a Sunday night is not a good time to be putting stuff out.
No, it's just insane, isn't it? So this is the problem. I mean, there'll be a couple of outlets that manage to get all the traffic, and then everyone else will just be sharing that same stuff. So unless I can get exclusive video or imagery of the same stuff, then I'm never going to get anything out of it. But yeah, I mean, it's perhaps even just laziness on the part of the manufacturers and their marketing agencies, that they don't think more about it. They just go, we want a thunderclap of everyone talking about it at the same time, without realizing that, like Alan said, you just don't bother even looking, because I know what they're going to be saying. They're all going to give it 5 out of 5. It's just bleh.
It's a bit of a catch-22, isn't it? You can't give preference to one outlet over another, so they all have to do it at the same time, and then you end up with exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, I suppose
I don't know what the answer is.
The only thing would be to be able to offer the people the chance to have to create their own content in different days, and say you can't release it until this date, but you can have the car, you can do something there, and then everyone's content is slightly different, but it's then embargoed. But that's never going to happen, because people just will leak everything, so it just doesn't work.
Yeah. And it would take quite a long time as well.
Yeah,
it's 2 hours per journalist is for a reason. So yeah, it's a tricky one.
If only it's a problem that's not ours to solve, and it's not an easy one to solve. But we'll see, because there'll be people who break out from that. I mean, I'm not a big fan of Tesla, but they always do something slightly different and manage to generate headlines by just being completely outside of the norm. And although some people
lying, I think
exactly.
It's sometimes known as.
Exactly.
It's just offering cars they can't actually sell for about 4 years or 5 years or 6 years, depending on which year they come out or supposed to come out.
So many Cybertrucks down my street.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
I saw millions last week. everywhere.
Yeah,
There's
No,
the
no,
Roadster.
no, no.
Saw one of them last week, mate.
yeah, yeah. It's
Do you work for Auto Express?
Yeah. But it's like I remember writing about the Roadster in 2018 or whatever it was,
Mhm.
and they were going, yeah, 2020, and
Yeah.
here we are, 2022. Not a sign of it at all.
Exactly. That won't last forever. They've managed to kind of, like say, break outside the norm and get headlines by doing that, but it's unsustainable because now people are just going, "Oh, Tesla said what? Oh, right, yeah, that it's not going to work, is it?"
There's
So
things to learn from Tesla that are positive and things to learn from Tesla that are negative.
how not to do it? Yeah.
There is both. I mean, there is some things they do very, very well and other things they don't do so well.
Very true.
And that's the thing. I think the Tesla business model is not reliant on the Tesla cars actually making enough money because the big boss can just talk about a particular cryptocurrency and make himself a few billion quid. So I think he can take risks with the car company because he doesn't really rely on that for income. So he can be a bit mad, and some things will work and some things won't. And then it doesn't matter if the things that don't work don't work. It's quite an interesting position to be in, really. But anyway, so it's good to catch up and kind of what's been going on over the last however long it's been. I mean, I missed the last one, and I don't think we did one in January, so it's probably December the last time we did it.
Mhm.
So let's
Christmas
get.
show, I guess.
Yeah, it probably was the Christmas show.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. It's a shame there's not more people on this one because it's I think everyone's just so busy at the moment. And, it'd be good to have a few more people on the call. But regardless of that, we're going to go back to one of the old format points, which was the red-green questions.
Yay.
So I've got a few lined up here. So for anyone who hasn't watched this before, essentially it's a agree or disagree. And as you'd imagine, red is I disagree with that, and green is yes, that's me all over. So I'm going to chuck some statements at the guys here, and then hold up a red for disagree and green for an agree. And if you guys have got any more, we'll ask those afterwards as well. So we're going to start off back in the world of Formula One. So apologies if you haven't really been following what's going on. But my first statement is that 2022 Formula One cars are nicer looking than 2021 Formula One cars. A unanimous decision there. So 2022 looks better than 2021.
There are some stunners on the grid this year. Oh boy.
I can't wait to see one in the flesh because they look cool, but I think they're going to look so futuristic. Have you seen that new Sky Sports ident that they're kind of putting out there with the new shaped cars all battling each other at night time? And it looks like, oh, that looks like something from the future, but it's just this year's car.
I can't stop looking at the Ferrari.
Is that the one you kind of think looks the best?
Yeah.
We'll leave him whilst he has a moment. If you could remember to turn your camera off, please, Craig.
Yeah, it's good to see. It's good to see that they've kind of like gone back to what I guess they've always been red, of course, but this kind of scheme seems to hark back to the 80s, really, doesn't it? It just looks a bit proper Ferraris. But actually, before I continue, this porpoising, this kind of bouncing as they kind of their aero switches on and off as they're kind of going up and down. Are they going to solve that, or is that just going to be part of it? Do you think, Craig?
Teams have proposed bringing back like active suspension as a temporary solution, but I don't think that's really sort of feasible at this point.
No.
But there are some teams saying, oh, it's not that big of a problem. Then there are other teams going, oh, it's a really big problem. So I suppose it's going to be up to the teams to try and sort it. But yeah, it does look a little bit weird.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. Anyway, sorry, guys. Okay, so still on those same cars, do we think that the racing in 2022, so green if you agree, 2022, the racing will be better than 2021? I mean, this is a really hard one because we just don't know. But do we think? Okay, yeah, a tricky one, that one. Okay, next question. Not about Formula One this time. I'll be getting Gran Turismo 7.
I was thinking about digging 3 back out of the cupboard again.
Oh yes.
So on Friday.
Nice, Ben. Nice one.
I just can't justify buying a PlayStation at the moment.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's yeah,
using up all my chips.
I've got a PS3 if it'll run on that.
Unfortunately, not. No. But yeah, a lot of people are talking about it. A lot of the streamers that I watch for sim racing have kind of given Gran Turismo a dabble, and it's really nice to see that they're saying that the physics of the game are now a lot more sim-like rather than game-like. So I think they've actually taken a step towards making it more like driving a car. We'll see how that translates, since a lot of people still use a pad to control the game. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what the reviews are like on that. Okay, next one. A motorsport one again. I'll watch the British Touring Car Championship this year, either live at the track or on TV. Yeah, see, I'm thinking British Touring Car Championships just kind of slipped off the radar quite a bit. I've been involved in it for a little while, and it's kind of, so I've kind of been there and seen what's going on. But even last year, I felt like I didn't really know what was going on. I don't know who was driving for which team. I don't know who was winning races or anything like that.
I used to always try and get over to watch it at Rockingham because it was one of the kind of main races of the year there. When I had my season ticket, that was a must watch.
Right.
But it's always in the middle of the day at the weekend, and I'm always trying to do stuff.
That's it. Yeah, if they've got ITV4 coverage, I usually have that on or record it and then zoom through the bits I'm not interested in. But okay, interesting. Okay, kind of going back to what we were talking about earlier, Joe. This one. So used car prices will remain high all year. Yeah, even Joe's gone green. If Joe's gone green, then it's green, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. And the next one, I'm excited by new car launches. Okay.
Stellantis products especially, but yeah, generally.
Yeah, of course.
He's all over the new Grandland, isn't he?
Yeah.
All about that.
Okay, Craig, this one won't apply to you, but for the other guys, I still remember the number plate of my first car. Or maybe, Craig, for your parents' car. No, not clear.
You have to get people to spell it out, because otherwise they might be lying.
Yeah, but I don't know if this is some sort of data phishing thing. If I get you to do that, though.
I don't think so. I think it's been off the road for a while, so I'm quite happy.
All right. What's yours then, Alan?
Y439 AES Silver Toyota Yaris. Funnily enough, S with optional power steering.
And oh wow, all the mod cons.
Mm.
Did you also have the thing where you can't rev it above a certain amount until it's warmed up?
Yeah, they all do that, sir.
Oh, they all do that. Oh, okay.
The little blue light that everybody asks what it is. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I remember my friend had one when it first came out, and you couldn't rev it, which was quite interesting. Can you remember yours, Ben?
Yeah, BRT 759Y.
Wow. Y plate, the same day I was born, 1st of August 82.
Yeah. Vauxhall Astra, terrible, rusty, unreliable. And I think I put it into a ditch. That didn't help.
You think you put it into
just
a ditch?
Small ditch, not a big ditch, just a small one.
Doesn't count then. No, that's fine. That's fine. Joe.
R554FOU.
Right.
Peugeot 306D Turbo.
Oh,
3 doors
nice car.
in
Nice.
Diablo red. Yeah, nice
Oh,
car.
very nice.
Nice. Lovely colour as well.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, cracking colour. In fact, all the sort of dark reds that you get these days, it was not that dissimilar from some of those.
Yeah.
Sold it to my brother, who wrote it off 6 months later.
Oh.
Not really his fault.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
But yeah, not on the road. So yeah, no data.
No
fishing.
data. I doubt my first one's on the road. Mine was a Fiat Uno, which is never a good start for something that's got to be on the road now. And that was L432REW. And it was literally a car that my dad had an MOT garage. And this is one that he had as a trade-in and couldn't sell in good conscience. He couldn't sell it onto the public. Honestly, I used to drive it. At sixth form, I learned to drive and kind of would drive to school. And at one point, the throttle cable just snapped, and the guy came along from the AA. I'd learned to drive with the AA, and so they had like free membership. And it was the first time I'd ever been called sir when he came out to fix my car. And he went, "Did you know that your throttle cable was held together with washing line?" No. All right. So that was fun. We managed to get it to rev to about 2,000 revs, and I kind of crawled home at 35 mile an hour, which was quite cool. Anyway, so yeah, number plates of first cars. Next one. I listen to music in the car. Okay, I'm the only one that doesn't then. Yeah,
Mhm.
I either have it just silent or people talking. I don't really have music in my car. Interesting.
Can of course recommend an excellent podcast for listening to. in the car.
Ah, yes, of
Is
course.
that the
yeah.
intercooler, Alan?
That one, yes, that
Yeah,
is an
that one. Or
excellent
Smith and
podcast.
Smith. Yeah,
They are
those
also
both good
very
options.
excellent. Yes, yes.
Oh dear. Just need a long enough journey to get through all of them till you get to the point where you get down to the motoring podcast. Yeah. You know what? On my iPad, the only podcast on my iPad is the motoring podcast. There you go.
Aw,
So
I knew we were friends for a reason.
yes, no, I do like it. We need more review stuff. I know you're probably saying it's never going to come back or something, but it's not for you to.
Unlikely at the minute, yeah.
Yeah.
We'll have American car reviews, I guess, Alan.
Yeah, I need to ingratiate myself with American PRs. I've not been wonderfully good at it with UK PRs. So we'll see.
What's the start again?
British charm. They won't be able to
I know.
resist you.
Hello,
Oh, yeah,
we'd
British
like to try
accent,
one of
you'll
your
get any-
cars.
Do you have it in manual? Because of course I am British.
That's a stick shift for you over here.
And I'll try and drive it on the correct side of the road.
Okay, next question. Has F1 teams' recent problems will negatively affect them? Okay, Alan, you disagree. You think they'll be fine?
I think that once they get over the initial hump of it, then they'll be better off as a result.
Yeah, okay. I think Gene Haas has gone on record as saying it hasn't affected them too much, just the big negative number is a slightly different big negative number or something like that.
Well, there is that too, yes.
Yeah. Okay, next one. Well, the final one for me. So the Bloodhound land speed record car will never get the record.
Oh, it makes me so sad to do this.
Yeah, I think we're all kind of resigned to the fact that it's just been going too long and not really made any progress. Maybe someone else will come in and steal it from them. Do we know anyone out here? Does anyone know what the current thing is? I know about 10 years ago, I pledged a tenner to have my name on a rear wing, and I guess that's probably long gone because it's white now.
No, well, they'd kept that going. You were still always going to get that because
right.
Similarly, my name was also going to be on the rear wing. Current status is that it's mothballed, isn't it? Were they not? So the chap who then bought it would then had to mothball it subsequently because they couldn't do anything. They couldn't go anywhere, do anything, test anything with the whole COVID stuff that we're also miserably aware of. I think that's the last situation. That was a good 6-7 months ago. There was a release about that.
Okay, I might have to check out their tweet. I think recently they've been involved in helping schools. That
has continued throughout.
Okay,
they're still doing the education and the outreach part. It's such a shame because they really tried to do everything right. They really have done, and they've been more mucked about, I think, by circumstance than anything else because they were so close. Yeah.
So I guess unanimously there, we said that they probably won't end up getting a record, which implies that either the record will stand forever or someone else will come along, and I doubt the record will stand forever.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems like this may.
But land speed record things aren't really fashionable at the minute.
Of course.
That's part of the problem is it's not a fashionable competition. At some point in the future, it'll become a thing to do for a little while again, I suppose. That seems to be the history of land speed record. Yeah, I mean, the thing about land speed record, I guess, is because they got long past wheel driven and went for rockets and jets and rockets. Jets. I guess there's still not going to be a way for, even with the potential of electric power, that wheel driven cars are ever going to be able to get there. Joe, I come to you as an electric vehicle person, but I guess you're not really thinking much about trying to do 900 mile an hour in electric power.
I'm not quite sure what it brings to the world, I suppose, that those kind of land speed records in old
could it even
tech
be seen as kind of tasteless and kind of a bit greedy and this kind of thing?
I know they're doing lots of side things that are good, but as a primary project, I can't see that it's doing much these days. I'm
It,
afraid.
it was a tough one for a long time because it was sponsored by motoring manufacturers, the JLR, with a supercharged V8 being used as a fuel pump.
Yeah.
And also, one of the other major sponsors was Nammo, the Norwegian state ammunition manufacturer. believe it or not.
Right. Okay.
And so they were providing the rocket and stuff, and then Airbus and Eurofighter and stuff were all in there. No, it was Rolls-Royce. Rolls-Royce produced the engine for the thing. So again, not very fashionable organizations, most of which, with the exception of Nammo, have gone through some form of financial pain and need for change over the last few years.
Mhm.
So I think that was one of the reasons the money ran out, was just, Dieselgate all of a sudden meant that JLR was having some more issues than they might otherwise have had. And then and yeah, Rolls-Royce up and down like a flipping roller coaster, really. That's aero, not motor cars.
Yes, of course. Yeah. Oh, interesting there. Have you guys got any other questions you'd like to put to the rest of the team for a red green, or is there anything you'd want to find out, see what the general consensus is?
Well, we did some good ones last month.
What did you do?
I can't remember what they were.
Oh, that's a lot of good then.
And there were loads of them too. It was amazing last month.
It
We
really
had
was, yeah.
champagne, and we
Did LA do the red green questions?
Simon did them.
Oh,
Yeah.
Simon did. Where's Simon tonight? This is
Yeah,
this is-
Simon is filming an advert somewhere
Right.
until after midnight. That's why he can't join us. Yeah.
Oh,
I'm
fair
looking
enough.
forward to seeing Simon on the TV.
Oh, he's actually going to be on TV.
I don't know, but I assume he
No.
will be.
No,
Oh.
one or more of his
No, it's
cars
his
will be
cards,
on
yeah,
TV.
yeah.
Oh, that's a shame.
Oh, you've gone to sleep, Alan.
Yeah, it keeps happening.
So, Anna, what is this camera? Is it just like a
So
DSLR sort?
it's a Micro Four Thirds Panasonic Lumix, which works really nicely. It's connecting over Wi-Fi. It gives a really nice picture. And it does the whole slightly fuzzy background thing without having to turn on the fuzzy
Yeah.
background,
Yeah.
and looking like you've got webbed hands and stuff. And so I experimented with it a couple of weeks ago, and it's one of those ones where I had to buy a piece of software, so I'm going to use this piece of software at every possible opportunity.
Okay.
And it's great, apart from the fact that my camera's slightly too old. It's a Lumix G6, so it has this timeout setting which you cannot turn off. I've tried and tried to hack it, and so every 7 or 8 minutes it tries to send itself to sleep. It does give about 10 seconds before it does, it gives a little message in the middle of the screen. That's why you sometimes see my arm going like this.
That's really
tap
funny.
it. So
You need a timer on some sort of device to just
I know.
tap it
Uh,
just before it does it. Oh no, not to worry. Yeah, so not one for it was, I guess, before streaming started, because I guess one of the things about nowadays is camera manufacturers probably want to make sure that their cameras can do that.
the new ones do, but I've also seen the cost of the replacement cameras and just sticking my finger out every now and again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is a good picture though, Alan, and the
Thanks.
white balance is really good. I mean, my picture's ridiculous because I look like a beetroot, and that's on a brand new webcam, a nice Logitech one, and it's just doing that to me. It's just, come on.
Yeah, I did. It's quite nice.
I've got a webcam of some sort. I think it was just off Amazon. It's a company in China you've never heard of that remanufactures, the same factory, about 10 different ones. Yeah, a bit like that, but with a ring light around it. So this one I would
Alright.
show you, but obviously I haven't got a mirror to
Well,
actually show the camera.
That's as I've got a spare one, but that's the one that I normally use in the background. Those Logitechs, and they're really good.
Yeah.
Logitechs.
No, it is good, although Teams don't recognise the audio. I can use microphone with Teams, but not audio. So
Oh.
it's very strange. And Skype neither. So I don't know what's going on.
I don't know. The picture and stuff in Zoom is always the best, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, it's always frustrating when someone's trying to use Teams instead of Zoom for work, and you go, oh, much prefer Zoom.
Welcome to my world.
Excellent. Well, I think that kind of like draws things to a bit of a close here now. Obviously, this was very much a catch up from where we were left off, so hence we haven't had a guest on this time. But the next ZoomZoomers will be on the 4th of April.
Do we have a fact from Craig? Do we have
If he's got one, I haven't dared to ask him because I think we're putting him on the spot somewhat. But we'll finish with a fact from Craig.
I have. I was sort of sat there thinking about it for like the past hour or so, and I was like, I can surely get Nikita Mazepin into a fact of the month after his long and extensive and successful Grand Prix career. Now I was sat there thinking, who was the last driver to lose their F1 seat pre-season? And it clicked. Does anyone remember Louis Razzia? I'll take that as a no.
I remember the name.
Yeah,
I sort of remember it from lower formulae rather than Formula One.
So Louis Razzia was supposed to race in 2013 in Formula One with Marussia. He had the deal signed and everything. And then he mysteriously disappeared off the grid in between the two in between pre-season testing events because his funding had dried up. So, age-old problem when your funding dries up due to whatever reason. But yeah, he had finished second in GP2 the year before to Davide Valsecchi, the very lively commentator these days. And achieved not a huge amount else in motorsports either side of his failed F1 bid. But yeah, his funding dried up and he was replaced by Ferrari junior Gilles Bianchi.
Oh wow!
Oh gosh.
So that was definitely an upgrade, that's for sure.
Yeah, good to know. Well done for bringing Nikita Mazepin into the fact of the month. Is kind of a good way to start. And by this time next time, we'll be able to talk about a few Grand Prix having happened. So it'll be really interesting to see who's actually at the top of the tree, and see if we're going to have potentially one day an all British podium. Now that George and Lewis have got the Merc and Lando's looking like he's got a fairly handy Mercedes engined McLaren, so you could even have a triple podium for the Brits one day, or it might be completely on its head and we've got AlphaTauri and Co at the top there, so we'll see. But yeah, well, thanks ever so much for coming along, guys, and I'll see you hopefully back on the 4th of April for another ZoomZoomers. Until then, catch you later.